In this, my fourth pearl of wisdom during this COVID-19 lockdown, I invite you to set a new standard for your life while developing a new perspective. We can all find reasons to live negative, bitter, as though we're at a disadvantage. Perhaps we may have come down with, let's say, stress as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic. Perhaps we are afflicted otherwise. Perhaps we're nervous about job security hereafter. Too often we focus on the past and worry about the future without enjoying the present, which is God's gift to us. We tend to focus on our limitations, our failures, what people may feel about us. It's easy to get discouraged, give up on our dreams and just settle. A shift in our paradigm is comely, as material possessions and money accumulation are shown up in our current situation and circumstance to be not as important as we have made them out to be. How many of us have plenty possessions and surplus cash and are still leveled by our current pandemic circumstances and experiences? Long lines to refuel our vehicles and to even purchase some much needed groceries. We are all called to attention, to breathe in and exhale a few times, as if to enter a state of welcomed meditation before we make our next move, thus ensuring it is sensible and well thought out. Towards the end of 2019, I had this great feeling about 2020. You know what? Inasmuch as some challenges entered the early part of this year, it is still not enough for me to change my anticipation for the great expectations I had for this year. I recall feeling the same way about 2004, having left a really challenging 2003. Then, as the third quarter was about to complete, Hurricane Ivan came, turning my life upside down. It is only with the benefit of hindsight that I was able to realize that Ivan came to cleanse my entire life and restock me with a totally new perspective. Trust me, I was never going to be the same after that, causing me to be extremely happy with who I have morphed into. With the benefit of that level of clarity, I approach my interpretation of 2020 14 years later. And that is why I told you I still have sweet anticipation that 2020 will be the great year it promised to be when I thought of it late 2019. When this all passes, I am confident more benefits will present themselves as time continues to unfold. To begin with, we ought to see how much we are not in control of anything that has to do with universal flow. This period of introspection and reflection calls for us to set a new standard while being able to develop a new perspective. So often we let our environment, how we were raised, and other people's expectations of us to set limits on our life. We adapt to what's around us. If we take an oak tree seed and we plant it in a 2-foot pot, the oak tree will never become what it was created to be if you leave it in that pot. Not because there is something wrong with the seed, but because of the environment that it is in. It's easy to just fit in and be like everyone else. But God didn't create us to be average. He created us to stand out, to go beyond the norm, to leave our mark on this generation. We all have seeds of greatness on the inside of us. We're supposed to go further than the people who raised us and set new standard. We may be in an environment where people have addictions, low self-esteem, depression, and even poverty. We can't stop that. But here's the key. We must not let that become normal in our thinking. If we accept that as who we are, it will keep us from our destiny. The scriptures that a lot of us love to quote from the Bible we love to tote speaks of how we are in the world. But we are not of the world. We may be in a limited environment, but we don't have to be of it. Don't let that environment get in you. If you see struggle, lack, and poverty long enough, your mind can become conditioned to thinking, this is who I am. I'll never have enough. No, that's where you are. That's not who you are. That may be what's been normal. The good news is you are a barrier breaker. You have the power, the favor, and the talent, and the ability to break out and go further. Sometimes people will try to put us in a box. They'll tell us such things as, you can't start that business. You'll never afford a nice place to live. You'll never get well. You'll never meet the right person. You will never overcome the rigors of this COVID-19. Because their thinking is limited, they'll try to put their limitations on you. You have to put your foot down and say, I refuse to be mediocre because people around me are mediocre. I know that I am a barrier breaker and I'm going to set a new standard. Remember, the Master breathed his life into us. He calls us the head and not the tail. Don't let your mind become conditioned for mediocrity. Don't let that change who you really are. This next level thinking, folks, begs us to use the lockdown to ascend to the level of barrier breakers and break the spell of fear, dysfunction, guilt, the past, and even lack of intelligence. The other side of the pandemic will come with additional challenges, which will only be overcome if we truly spend this time in quiet preparation to leave behind the negative mindsets, the scarcity mentality, the limitations, the malice, the jealousy, so we can become the force to be reckoned with that we were born to be and rise to the new level of living, totally in touch with our higher inner consciousness, so that we can truly enjoy life to your unlimited possibilities.